My name is Michael. For 20 years, I was an architect of stability. My life was built on trust, routine, and a love I believed unbreakable. I was the quiet one, the steady hand, the man who came home every night to the warmth of a wife who understood me without words. Sarah. She was my anchor, my confidant, the vibrant counterpoint to my more reserved nature. Our home was a sanctuary, filled with the comfortable silence of shared history and the unspoken promise of a future stretching endlessly before us. We had our routines, our little jokes, the gentle rhythm of a life intertwined so completely I couldn't imagine where I ended and she began. Then a receipt. A single forgotten slip of paper tucked into the pocket of her winter coat. It was small, unassuming, just a restaurant name and a date. But the date was a Tuesday, a night she swore she was working late, burning the midnight oil on some crucial project. And the restaurant was one I'd never heard of her mention, let alone visit. A casual glance, a flicker of curiosity, quickly turned into a cold dread that began to seep into my bones. That tiny slip wasn't just proof of a dinner. It was the blueprint of a betrayal so meticulous, so coldly calculated, it didn't just break my heart, it shattered my entire reality. The world tilted. The air in my lungs felt thick, heavy, unbreathable. Every memory, every shared laugh, every intimate touch instantly replayed in my mind, recontextualized by this insidious new information. Was she laughing at me then? Was her affection a performance? The man I thought I was, the life I had, vaporized in an instant. The trust, that sacred, invisible bond, was not just broken, it was ground into dust. My mind raced, frantically searching for an explanation, a way to make it not true. But the cold logic of the receipt stared back at me, unforgiving. I could have raged. I could have thrown the receipt in her face, demanded answers, shattered our peace with a shout that would echo through the walls of our home. I could have packed a bag, filed for divorce, torn down everything she built, and left her with the ruins. But a strange, dangerous calm settled over me. The pain was too deep, too profound for a simple explosion. No, my revenge had to be different. It had to be precise. I wasn't interested in destroying her world outright. I was interested in showing her, piece by agonizing piece, exactly what she threw away and what true loss feels like. I wanted her to watch. The idea, when it finally coalesced in my mind, felt both terrifying and exquisitely right. It wasn't about public shaming or legal battles. It was about psychological warfare, a silent scream that would pierce her perfect facade without a single word from me. Sarah, charming, seemingly perfect, had been living a second life. My revenge would be to live a second life too, but one she would be forced to witness, powerless to intervene. I began to observe her more closely than ever before. Her patterns, her excuses, the way her eyes would subtly shift when she lied. I learned the name of the man, the places they frequented, the little habits she picked up from him. Every detail, every fleeting glance she exchanged with her phone became another tile in the mosaic of her deceit. And with each new discovery, the cold anger hardened into a steely resolve. My method wasn't confrontation. It was the echo chamber. The premise was simple, yet devastating. I would meticulously recreate our life, our home, our routines, even our social circle. But I would replace her with someone who embodied every quality she lacked: loyalty, honesty, genuine affection. I wasn't just moving on. I was orchestrating a new, seemingly perfect existence designed to subtly mirror, then outshine, what we had, ensuring Sarah would become a silent, helpless observer. The first step was subtle, almost imperceptible. I started spending more time on hobbies I'd let lapse, reconnecting with friends I'd neglected for the sake of our life. These were small acts of self-reclamation, but they were also preparation. I needed to build a new scaffolding, a new foundation from which to launch my quiet war. Then came Eleanor. Finding her felt like a cruel twist of fate, or perhaps destiny. We met through a mutual friend, someone I hadn't seen in years. Eleanor was everything Sarah wasn't in that moment, kind, genuinely warm, with an honesty that shone from her eyes. She had a quiet strength, a laugh that was infectious, and a sincere interest in my life that felt like a healing balm after the emotional desolation. I never told her the full truth of my situation, not at first. I simply told her my marriage was ending, gently, irrevocably. She was understanding, empathetic. Slowly, carefully, I let her into my world. She wasn't a pawn. She was a truly wonderful woman who deserved genuine happiness. And ironically, by building my revenge, I was finding a path to it myself. The echo chamber truly began to take shape once Eleanor became a steady presence. Our home, the very stage of Sarah's betrayal, became the canvas for my revenge. I started making deliberate, noticeable changes. We adopted a rescue dog, a playful golden retriever mix. I named him Finn. Finn was the name of the bar Sarah had often gone to with her lover, the place where her lies began to intertwine with her reality. Every time I said his name, a silent shiver of satisfaction ran through me. It was a private joke, a subtle jab only I understood. I reactivated an old, rarely used online journal, one Sarah had convinced me to start years ago to document our memories, and which she still had, unbeknownst to her, passive access to via a shared cloud account she'd set up. This would be the core of the echo chamber. I started filling it with details of my new life. I'd post pictures of Eleanor and me at local events, at a new little cafe that served her favorite tea. I wrote about our quiet evenings, the genuine conversations, the shared laughter. I made sure to include details that would sting Sarah, details that deliberately echoed her lies. For instance, Sarah and her lover had taken a weekend trip to a charming B&B near the coast, a place she claimed was a work retreat. Within weeks, Eleanor and I visited the very same town. I made sure to post pictures of us enjoying the quaint shops, walking along the beach, always with a subtle caption like, "So much peace here," or "Discovering beautiful new places." I didn't tag the exact B&B, but I knew Sarah would recognize the landmarks from her own deceit. She would see me happy with someone else in her stolen spaces. The most potent aspect was our social life. Sarah and I shared many friends. Initially, they were sympathetic to her devastation over our separation. But slowly, subtly, Eleanor began to integrate. We hosted small dinner parties, just like Sarah and I used to. Eleanor, with her genuine warmth, charmed everyone. I would watch Sarah at mutual gatherings, her eyes constantly darting towards Eleanor and me. She'd see us laughing, genuinely connecting, effortlessly enjoying the company. The conversations I shared with Eleanor, the easy affection we displayed, were exactly what Sarah and I had slowly lost, or perhaps what she had only pretended to have. I would make sure to mention our latest adventures in her presence, things like, "Eleanor and I went hiking last weekend, found the most incredible waterfall, reminded me of that spot in the mountains," knowing full well that was where Sarah and her lover had spent their first romantic getaway. Her jaw would tighten almost imperceptibly, a flicker of something dark in her eyes, before she'd force a strained smile. The revenge wasn't loud. It was a whisper, a persistent hum in the background of her life. She'd check the journal, I knew it. She'd see the posts, the pictures, the narratives of my flourishing life. Every perfect meal Eleanor cooked, every thoughtful gesture she made, every genuine smile I shared with her, it was all meticulously documented, a public record of my recovery and her loss. The more I built, The more Sarah's world, which she thought was so secure, began to shrink. She tried to regain control, of course. She'd call, feigning concern, asking about my adjustment. I'd be polite, distant. "I'm doing well, Sarah. Very well." And I was. The beautiful irony was that in building this elaborate trap for her, I was genuinely finding happiness. Eleanor was not a tool, she was a partner. Our relationship was real, built on the very honesty and respect that Sarah had so casually discarded. The full weight of it, I believe, hit her during the holidays. We used to host Christmas, a cherished tradition. This year, Eleanor and I hosted a small, intimate gathering with close friends, some of whom were Sarah's friends too. Sarah wasn't invited, of course, but the pictures found their way to the online journal. Eleanor, radiant, effortlessly blending into my family's traditions. My genuine smile, free of the shadow that had haunted me. I wrote a post about new beginnings and the warmth of true connection, detailing the festive decorations, the laughter, the joy. I deliberately posted a picture of Eleanor helping my mother bake the same cookies Sarah used to make. The next day, I heard Sarah had called our mutual friends, seemingly distraught, complaining about being cut out. But the sympathy was waning. They had seen my happiness, seen Eleanor, and they recognized the genuine article. My revenge isn't a single event. It's a slow, unfolding masterpiece. It's making her watch, from the outside, as I build a truer, happier life from the ashes of her deceit, never uttering a single word of accusation directly to her face. I see it in her eyes now when our paths cross. The confusion, the jealousy, the dawning realization of what she actually lost. She can't rage because I haven't given her a reason. She can't confront because there's nothing to confront. I'm just living my life, a better life, a life she can only observe. The satisfaction is profound, but it's not without its own lingering sadness. The man I was, the life I thought I had, is gone forever. But in its place, something more authentic, more resilient has emerged. I didn't just rebuild, I reimagined. And the woman who thought she could shatter me with her deceit now lives in the echo chamber of her own regret, watching me thrive in the quiet, undeniable light of a loyalty she never deserved. My silence is louder than any scream. And my happiness? That is the loudest, most devastating revenge of all.